Hi, my name's Rosemary and I'm going to make a video for you today with art and healthcare. I'm going to make something for Christmas using things that you either have lying around at home or that you usually pick up about Christmas time. So let's get started. This project is going to almost be done in two parts. So we have to do some preparation first of all, and that involves the glue and involves everything drying overnight before we do stage two. So I'm going to go through all the materials that we've got for this project and then we'll start doing the preparation. So I have got different coloured cellophane sweet wrappers, and these are from Quality Street. I'm sure there's other cellophane that's available, and got lots of nice covers there. I also have foil from those sweets and other sweets, and I know that there's writing on this, but that won't really be visible at the end. So there's lots of different kinds there. I also have some little squares of tissue paper, but any sort of tissue paper would be nice. You know, you can get lots of lovely little circles and just pieces from anything. I use tissue paper from shoe boxes and packaging. Anything will do. The next thing I have is I have some glitter in different colours. I also have some sequins, an odd bag of shapes and sequins. I have some gold and silver pens. Lovely coloured gel pens would be good. I couldn't find any, so I've just got gold and silver. I have some gold thread and some thinner thread, but things like embroidery thread or normal sewing thread would be good as well. I also have plastic bin bag, which we need, some masking tape or sellotape to stick it to a surface, paintbrush, which I think I forgot to put on the sheet, but we need a small paintbrush, and then I have some normal scissors. If you have a craft knife, that's useful. I found some of the, I think must have been my children's scissors with things like wavy lines and so on in them, so those are quite useful. And these are pinking shears, if you have those, for making a nice zigzag edge. And if not, normal scissors are fine. I have an awl, but a needle would be just as good. A pencil in case we need one. And I do have a Pritt stick as well, in case we need that. And then I have my PVA in here, which I will just say a little bit about. If you have very thick PVA, then I would suggest that you would water it down a little bit till you make a sort of nice running sort of consistency, and not, you know, in a bit of a quicker flow, not really sort of thick and heavy, because we're going to put it onto the tissue paper, and if it's too thick it will tear it. So you can water it down and that will make it easier to work with. And I also have some bigger pieces of tissue paper, and this is just from some wrapping. I've got some coloured papers that I found. This is from packaging from a shop. I quite like the pattern of the letters on it. And I got this recently from another shop which has already got quite a lot of different writing and images on it, and that's quite useful. This is a paper that I got a long time ago, and I think it was, they were wrapping things at Christmas time, and it already has lovely snowflake patterns on it. So if you really want to look for something for Christmas, now's the time to look for it. And I got this as a gift from somebody, and it's already sort of well decorated, but really great for this time of year. So anything like that will do. Plain white is just great as well. So we're going to start making our sheets of decorated paper. Now I have got 2 layers of my bin liner here, and that's just to give a bit of thickness. And what we're going to do first of all is get some masking tape or sellotape and tape that down. It just stops it moving around whilst you work on it. And I'm going to start doing one sheet of tissue paper, and so I'm going to tear this sheet in half. Make sure that it wants to tear in half, that's fine. There we go. And I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to work out what I want to put on top of this. And I'd like to put on some foil and some other colours of tissue paper. So I'm going to select a few different things here. And there's all sorts of fun things that you can do before we start. So we could take one of these and we could fold it into a triangle, and we could take the scissors and we could cut some little shapes out. Now I've just allowed those little bits that have fallen to fall onto the sheet here, and we'll see why in a minute or two. And then when I open this up, you should get quite a nice decoration on the sheet of tissue. So we begin to see what it's going to look like. So there we are. That's fine. So I'm going to put all those things on there. I'm going to get my PVA glue. Now you can see that this is not thick and heavy, and it's quite thin and runny. So as I say, if you've got very thick PVA, water it down, because it's much easier to do 2 or 3 coats than it is to coat with very thick glue. And I'm going to just make sure that I gently brush this all over the tissue paper. If it tears, don't worry about that, because try and notice where it maybe tears and then put a piece over the top. And I think it's maybe just torn there, so I'm going to put a sheet there. And then when you put something down, we just give that another coat of PVA. So So that's quite nice, and it's quite busy, and that looks lovely. Now it's still quite wet at the moment, so if you want to, this is the point at which to add some glitter. So I think I'm going to take some gold glitter. And it's easier to put it into your hand first of all, and then I'm just going to sprinkle that over. And what I'm going to do to finish this one off is I'm going to lay another sheet of white over the top. You don't have to, but I'm just going to put that over the top, and I'm going to sandwich that in between. And that's the first one done. So I'm going to show you another couple of things that you can do. That's the first one done. Okay. So what you can also do on this plastic sheet is take the cellophane and make a sheet of cellophane. Now, it sometimes takes a little bit longer to dry than the tissue paper, so you do have to be patient with it, but the effect is really nice. So I'm going to take a few different colours. Now I would say to be careful, because once you start to layer up too many colours, you don't get anything. All that you get is something really dense and dark and not very nice. So try and stick to 2 overlapping colours where you can just change the colours a little bit. So we might have some of the yellow next to the green and so on. So I'm going to start by cutting these into smaller pieces. So now you can see that we have all these lovely colours, and they look really lovely like that. But you do want to have them all sort of touching, it's without any gaps. So let's start and see what we can do. I'm going to put the first one on there. And they do get a little bit softer when you glue them. You want a little bit of the glue underneath and on top. And the other thing that you might notice about the cellophane is that if you overwork it, the colour can start to run out, which is okay, but then you find that it comes into the glue and you start to transfer it to other things, which you might not want to do. So just be mindful of that. Let's put another green one in there. And so on, and you just keep building it up. And you can overlap if you want, obviously. Now, while that is nice and wet, I'm also going to put some glitter into this. I think I've got some nice green with a little bit of colour mixed in, so I'm just going to sprinkle that over here. So obviously you can build up a nice layer of that as well. So that's the second one done. And I'm going to do one third one. And this time I'm going to use a little bit of this paper here with the nice logos on it. And this time I'm going to have a mixture of cellophane and foil onto this nice piece of tissue here. So we can just start off by giving our sheet of tissue a nice layer of glue, and if that sequin wants to be there, we'll just leave it there. So we can cut some of the cellophane this time. I'm going to use, oops, I'll stick in, the pinking shears, and I'm going to use them to make some nice edges on the foil as well. And one of the things that you can do, which I didn't do, I'll show you on one of the ones that I've done, is that you can actually take the pens and you can draw and write on your tissue paper before you start sticking anything on it, especially if, well, if they're waterproof pens. I think gel pens and gold pens generally tend not to run with water-based products like PVA, so that should be quite nice. In fact, I might try. So what I'm actually going to maybe add into this is, I have this very thin gold thread I found at home, and I think if I cut off a little piece of this, then you can actually just wind that through. I might actually just put this in little pieces. And just let it fall in so you can see that we can have some gold there as well. But let me just take a pen and show you. So if I wanted to, I could just write some nice pattern. You could do anything that you wanted to, but we can see the gold on there. And then I'll just put it onto this end here and see what happens. Oh, that gold's going to run. Let's try quickly and do it from the other side. And maybe if the paper on top is, underneath rather, is quite wet, then you could just tap it down. But that is going to run a little bit, but that's the way to do it then. Wet the paper underneath and stick the top one down gently by patting it with the glue, and that way the pattern will survive. I might actually leave that one like that. You could cover it with another layer of tissue if you wanted, but I think I might leave it like that. Just pop on a little bit of yellow here, since it's there. Just make sure that those threads are well done. The other thing is that when it's dried, and if you feel that it hasn't all stuck down, then just add some more PVA and just wait for it to dry again. It's just a matter of time. But those are some of the things that you can do. Oops, I'm just making a mess. And then have to have a little bit of patience. So when all our preparation's done and it's all dried, then we can start to use the lovely new paper that we've made. So this is the one that we did with the little bits of foil from Quality Street and the cut out paper shapes. And these are the other ones, and they just peel off. Should peel off very easily. And if we can see this little clear edge here, that's just some of the glue that was left over. And if we don't want that, we can just trim it away. So now we get to do something with this. So what I've done is I've made some stencils. And if you're going to make some stencils, it's worth remembering that it's a good idea to fold the paper in half, and you only have to draw one side of the shape, and then cut it out, and when you open it up you'll be left with a symmetrical shape. And then I used this to draw it onto some cards that I have. So I've made some Christmas baubles here, Christmas tree with a star on top, and I have a star. And we can keep the cut-out shapes as well, because they're quite useful to draw around sometimes. So then it's simply a case of taking the stencil and drawing round part of this. And if I take the star, you can see how you can move it around and decide what you think might be the nicest place to put the star. So I'm just going to put it on the top here. I'm going to take the pencil and I'm going to draw around here with the pencil, because that should show up on this. And when we've drawn all the way around it, I'm going to take just plain scissors and I'm going to cut this shape out. And because it's lovely and see-through, we can actually see the glitter and some little bits of colour on the other side. So you have it on both sides. And so there's different things you can do with that. You could actually just put a thread through it and hang it up. You can stick it in the window where the light comes through it, or you might want to get some card and stick it down onto a card. And I would use some Pritt stick for that. And if you have any problems with sticking it down, then I suggest that the best thing to do is to put a few books or a weight on top of it overnight, and that will really help to press it down in place, and then you can write a message on it or whatever. So they're very good for that. And I have a couple that I've made earlier, and this is just the same. And you can see on this one actually that I have done some machine stitching on it. So if you have a sewing machine at all, the paper is robust enough to go through the sewing machine, so you can add more sort of decoration doing that. And I had one last one where I actually stenciled a silver star underneath and then put the tissue paper on top. So lots of variations for those. And one last card idea is that you can fold your card in three. You can cut any shape out of here, and then we could cut out a shape from our lovely cellophane wrappers and glue that into place. Leave it, cut it a little bit bigger than the opening that you've made, and glue it in place. Maybe some weight would help that as well. And then either use more Pritt stick and close that and seal it up, and that would make a really nice card as well. I'm going to cut a shape out of this one, I think. So I'm going to do a Christmas decoration. I'm going to go for this one, the bauble. And there we have a lovely decoration. And I'm just going to make a little hole with the awl or a needle in the top. And we can use some gold thread. We'll just pop that through. And I'm just going to tie a knot at the top. It's a bit slippery. There we are. That's it. So we can hang up the decoration and look through it. And that would look really nice on glass as well, because you can see that you can see through it. I have some other decorations that I've made, the baubles, and more of the cellophane as well. So those are just some ideas that you can do with them. You can cut them obviously with pinking shears to make nice shapes for cards, just small pieces. Make little small gift tags, all sorts of things. So I hope that you enjoy using up some leftovers to make some nice Christmas decorations, and that you have some fun doing it. Thanks very much.